Episode 181.
I am deeply grateful to Senior Han and Brother Chi for coming to my rescue. Please allow me to offer you both a cup of tea in place of wine as a small token of my gratitude.
As soon as Xin Ruyin entered the room, she took 2 cups of tea from the pretty maid beside her, then gracefully offered one to each of her 2 guests.
This woman is truly remarkable. Her words were watertight. She didn't promise a thing, yet no one could find a single flaw.
As for Qi Yunxiao, the moment the new bride offered him tea, he was already so overjoyed he couldn't tell north from south. He downed that cup of tea without tasting a single thing, just grinning like a fool the whole time. Jin Ruyin, finding Qi Yunxiao's demeanor a real headache, turned instead to strike up a conversation with Han Li. She tried to fish for information, hoping to learn whether Han Li belonged to some sect or a prominent family. After all, a Foundation establishment cultivator was bound to have some background. But Han Li wasn't naive enough to reveal his background so easily, so he deliberately led Jin Ruyin in circles. After a bit of conversation, Jin Ruyin hadn't gotten a single useful piece of information, which left her thoroughly frustrated. As for Han Li, she grew even more wary. As for Xin Ruyin, even with Han Li doing her such a big favor, that didn't mean he wasn't thinking the same thing as those other men. To be safe, she had to stay sharp and tread carefully.
Senior Han, I promised you before, if we could save Ruyin, you could take any of the formation flags and plates I've crafted. I happen to have a few sets on me. Why don't you take a look first, Senior, and see if they meet your standards?
Qi Yunxiao finally snapped out of his obsession, but the words he spoke to Han Li caught the latter off guard and filled him with joy. He felt that he could finally steer the conversation back to the matter that concerned him most. Jin Ruyin was startled at first, then gave Qi Yunxiao a deeply grateful smile, which only made him grin back like a lovesick fool.
The matter of the formation flags and plates can wait. There is actually another matter I wish to ask fellow Taoist Sin for help with. If you can help me resolve this matter, there's no need to mention any reward. Instead, I can gift you an 800-year-old spirit herb meant for pill refinement, to treat your ailment.
Senior is willing to part with the spirit herb?
Qin Yunxiao shot to his feet at those words. Clearly, he had already sunk into the excitement of his beloved having a spiritual herb to cure her illness, with a strong hope of recovery. As for Xin Ruyin, the one at the heart of it all, she was naturally just as thrilled. After all, this concerned the hope of finally being made whole after her long, incurable affliction. But soon, after her expression flickered through a series of changes, she bit her red lip and finally told Han Li,
If there's anything you need, Senior, just say the word. As long as it doesn't violate morality and conscience, I will agree.
As Xin Ruyin spoke, her clear eyes met Han Li's gaze directly, betraying her fear that he might demand something she could never agree to. Han Li couldn't help but smile knowingly at her cautious demeanor.
This Xin Ruyin is just as cautious as I was back when I first left the tower to walk the path of cultivation, terrified of making a single misstep and losing her life. Fellow Taoist Xin, there's no need to be so tense. I merely wish for your help in repairing something related to an array. Once the item is restored, I will hand over the spirit herb personally.
Han Li's expression remained impassive, meeting the other's gaze without flinching, his demeanor one of utter openness. Xin Ruyin was half convinced after hearing this, but she still breathed a sigh of relief, a smile blooming across her delicate face.
If it's truly just a matter of repairing something, then of course there's no problem. Ruyin will do her utmost. Please rest assured, Senior.
This woman had maintained a cool, indifferent demeanor all along, but that sudden radiant smile and her captivating grace made even Han Li pause, momentarily lost in thought. Xin Ruyin noticed the strange look in Han Li's eyes, and a blush crept back onto her cheeks, making her even more charming. Han Li suddenly realized he had been staring. He quickly composed himself.
To be honest, I know you're well versed in arrays, but whether you can actually fix this thing, I'm not entirely sure. Besides, that thing couldn't be moved, and it was quite far from here, so I had no choice but to copy it into a blueprint. I hope fellow Taoist Xin can glean some insight from the drawing and manage to repair it.
Han Li said, taking a jade slip from his storage pouch and handing it to her. Jin Ruyin took the jade slip and immediately immersed her mind into it. What she found inside made her cry out in shock.
The ancient teleportation formation?
Hearing that shout, the last shred of worry in Han Li's heart simply vanished.
So this really is an ancient teleportation array. The question now is whether she can actually fix it.
Han Li thought this and couldn't help but closely watch Xin Ruyin's expression, afraid she might show a troubled look. As for Qi Yunxiao, upon hearing the words ancient teleportation array, a look of astonishment spread across his face, his eyes filled with shock. A full incense stick's time later, Xin Ruyin let out a long breath and finally withdrew her mind from the jade slip. Then she lowered her head in thought for a moment, before raising her right hand and telling Han Li with a serious tone.
This is indeed a genuine ancient teleportation array. Ordinarily, with my skill level, I wouldn't be able to repair a completely destroyed one. But this one only has minor damage, just a small corner of it. And as it happens, this particular section of the array is one of the few ancient formations I've studied. So as things stand, there's a good chance I can restore it.
Hearing this, Han Li was overjoyed.
However, since this type of ancient array isn't commonly used, my research on it isn't very deep. I'll need some time to fully restore the ancient teleportation array blueprint in the jade slip.
Of course that's fine. But fellow Taoist Sin, how long do you estimate it will take? I'll come back then.
Half a year should be enough.
Very well. I'll return for the completed blueprints in half a year. Miss Sin, I trust you won't disappoint me.
And so Han Li formally entrusted the restoration of the ancient teleportation array to Xin Ruyin. After spending an afternoon chatting with Qi Yunxiao and the others, he took his leave. Before leaving, Han Li urged them both to be careful and suggested they move to new lodgings. After all, someone would surely come looking for the killer, and staying nearby would make them far too easy to find. Han Li said this, and the two exchanged a glance, their faces showing reluctance. They were non-committal about the suggestion to relocate. Han Li found it strange and worrying, but he didn't press the matter. He flew away on his magic tool, heading for Yu. The capital of Yue was none other than the famed Yue Jing. It was the largest city in Yue, situated at the very heart of the kingdom, serving as the nation's hub for economic and cultural exchange. The entire city of Yujing had been divided into 4 distinct districts: east, west, south, and north. First, the northern district housed the imperial palace, home exclusively to the royal family. The southern district, by contrast, housed the residences of officials and nobles. In stark contrast to those 2 districts stood the West District, a complete opposite to the South's uniform rows of grand mansions. The West District, in contrast, was a jumble of uneven single-story houses, home only to the poorest, menial laborers, street vendors, and small-time peddlers scraping by on the lowest rung of society. Of course, a fair share of shiftless loafers who did nothing all day, along with a few down-on-their-luck families who'd moved in from other districts, also made their homes here. As for the East District, that's where the wealthy merchants and big traders made their homes. Though these families held no official rank and couldn't settle in the South District, their mansions and courtyards were built one more magnificent than the next. Among them, a few estates were so grand that the neighbors couldn't even dream of competing. Not only did they dwarf everything around them in size and opulence, but the families living inside were fabulously wealthy merchants with fortunes beyond measure. The Qin estate, a supersized mansion tucked away in the eastern district, was exactly that kind of wealthy household. Its grounds spanned dozens of acres, a fact that left anyone who knew the price of land in the capital utterly dumbfounded. The Qin family wasn't just wealthy enough to rival a nation, they held a monopoly on a quarter of Yue's copper mines, and word had it their patriarch was so well connected, even high-ranking officials in the imperial court spoke up on his behalf. Servants of a household like that naturally carried themselves with plenty of confidence, and when they spoke, their voices rang out much louder than the servants of any other estate. Such was the case with Qin Gui, the gatekeeper of the Qin estate. Every time someone came to the Qin estate seeking an audience with the master, regardless of their status, background, or official rank, they would all treat this lowly Qin servant with utmost courtesy, not daring to offend him in the slightest. Over time, Qin Gui almost felt like he was a big shot himself. So, whenever someone sent a visiting card hoping to see a member of the Qin family, they'd naturally have to grease Qin Gui's palm first. Otherwise, he'd give them the cold shoulder or even sit on the request for 3 or 4 days before passing it along. Of course, when truly important guests came calling, Qin Gui would snap to attention, playing the part of the dutiful, uncomplaining servant to perfection. As for the young masters and misses who came and went regularly, he was especially attentive, bustling around them with tireless zeal. And sure enough, this approach left quite a few masters thoroughly satisfied with Qin Gui. Word even had it that he was about to be promoted to external affairs manager, put in charge of some branch of the family business. When Qin Gui got wind of that, his heart swelled even more. These past few days, he'd practically been walking on air. Now, Qin Gui had dragged a long bench out to the front gate, lying on it in the shade to escape the summer heat. Early this morning, the family head went out to discuss business. The young masters and misses also headed off with the other young nobles to Chongshan Temple for some fun. With only the wives and the widowed cousin left in the compound, he could finally breathe easy and steal a moment of leisure. Just as Qin Gui was growing drowsy from the cool breeze, a timid young man's voice suddenly sounded before him.
Excuse me, is this the Qin residence?
Qin Gui had just started to drift off when the noise shattered his sleep, leaving him utterly miserable. Before he even opened his eyes, he erupted in a furious shout.
What's all the yelling for? You sound like you're at a funeral. Can't you see your Lord Gui just lay down?